We had some very good results today, as you probably heard, in Iran. Very strong results militarily. So we're talking to countries about policing the straits, because they are the ones, we don't get oil, very little, 1%, 2%. China, as an example, gets about 90% of its oil from the Hormuz Strait. It'd be interesting to see what country wouldn't help us with a very small endeavor, which is just keeping the strait open. That, by comparison, isn't small. It's small because Iran has very little firepower left.
That's President Trump yesterday on Air Force One, calling on allies to send warships to the Strait of Hormuz to help ease oil prices and loosen up the strait. The president wrote this on Truth Social over the weekend. Hopefully China, France, Japan, South Korea, and the UK and others that are affected by this artificial constraint will send ships to the area so that the Hormuz Strait will no longer be a threat by a nation that has been totally decapitated. Japan's Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi told Parliament this morning that no decision has been made about sending warships to the region. She's expected to meet with President Trump in Washington on Thursday, likely to be the top on the agenda. Oil prices are lower this morning. Investors are cautious around this conflict with Iran, but nonetheless, Brent is down 0.2% at 102.48, and crude is down 3% right now, back down to 95.68, as the president efforts other nations to get in this fight. Joining me now is the American Petroleum Institute President and CEO, Mike Sommers. Mike, thanks so much for being here. Give us your assessment of where we are in this fight with Iran and the spike in prices.
Well, first of all, Maria, I do think the President of the United States is doing everything he can to get the Strait of Hormuz back open again. They're also doing everything they can at the policy level. They've put another 400 million barrels of oil on the market from strategic petroleum reserves all over the world. They're also looking at some policy measures here in the United States. But there's no replacing getting the Strait of Hormuz back open again. That's 20% of world oil flows. And while there is oil flowing through the East-West pipeline in Saudi Arabia, and thank goodness for our allies in Saudi Arabia for building that pipeline when they did, we still need to get the strait open if we're going to get flows back to where they need to be to meet the world demand for oil.
Well, I mean, you make a great point about the Saudi line, because could the U.S. rely more on that Saudi line? I mean, are there other options to rely on heavily as the Iranians try to dominate the strait?
Well, the truth of the matter is that Saudi line going at maximum capacity can only do about 7 million barrels a day. There's another pipeline through UAE that is exporting right now as well. But the Straits of Hormuz remain to be the critical artery for world oil supplies, and we got to get it back open. And so the president's idea of getting an international coalition to escort tankers through the strait is absolutely critical.
Yeah, I mean, once again, the U.S. is out there on its own. I'd like to see which nation is going to be first to say we are also going to send ships to the region, because we understand that this is the #1 state sponsor of terrorism.
Well, the United States and our allies in Israel have done everything they could. If you think about the fact that other countries should be thanking the United States for stopping an Iranian regime from getting a nuclear weapon, that was the biggest threat to the Strait of Hormuz. That was the biggest threat to this critical artery for world oil supply. The President of the United States has done everything he can to take care of that threat. Now we need our allies in the Middle East and throughout the Western world to help us get that critical artery back open again. So the President is completely right about his focus on getting an international coalition developed to do just that.
We just spoke with John Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania, and he made a great point. Energy security is national security. Watch this.
I've always maintained that energy security is national security, and it reminds us, all of us now, that we need to make more and more and produce more kinds of energy, regardless of where it comes from, to make our nation more immune to these kinds of things. Absolutely, there's going to be fluctuations in oil prices, as you've seen, and that's why we need the rest of the world to have these nations to join us, because unless you stand with Iran, that would identify us effectively as enemies or people that want the worst for Americans and Israelis.
And Mike, you're going one step further and saying that America's new energy war is AI. and that the U.S. must win this battle against China. Beijing says it's accelerating its AI technology production in an effort to beat the U.S. on the global stage while increasing surveillance. Your reaction?
Well, absolutely. The AI race is really a race for artificial intelligence, for energy security. Because if you don't have the energy to supply what we're going to need in terms of the AI build-out, that is going to put the United States at a critical disadvantage. But if you think about the place where we were during the previous Gulf conflicts, energy spiked significantly higher than it is today. Why is that? Because the United States is now producing more oil, more natural gas than any other country in the world. And that provides a buffer and a geopolitical insurance policy for America. And we need to make sure that we're continuing to focus on that. And the president's policies are, if you think about that, they've opened up critical lands and waters to American development, not just on federal lands, but also the ability for us to get permits to develop private lands as well. The president's energy agenda has been the focus of the first year of this office, while he's been in office, and that has been critical to the build-out of artificial intelligence as well.
Mike, I want to get your take on the broader issue of all of this surveillance, because AI is also opening up a can of worms in terms of AI on the battlefield and the guardrails that need to be put in place for agents, right? I mean, people are expecting that we're going to be buying robotic agents in the future like we buy cars. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the United States has always had a critical focus on the importance of privacy. But we also have to be focused on our enemies overseas and the work that our AI companies are doing right now to make sure that as few people die as possible in these conflicts by using these advanced technologies. That is an advancement in the battlefield that we just have not seen before. And so that build-out, I think, is very important. And we're going to be heavily reliant on our partners in the United States that are providing this AI. And I know the Defense Department and others within the government are focused on making sure that the American people continue to have the privacy that they're going to demand with AI going forward.
Yeah, I spoke about this yesterday with Winton Hall, who's out with this new book called Code Red. Watch this.
We have to make sure those guardrails are in place because we do not want unintended consequences. And I think that particularly when you're talking about agentic AI, right, because that is autonomous. And so we have to make sure that those systems have, number one, a kill switch in place for not just human in the loop, but human override. I think that's essential. And even when you're talking about autonomous warfare and weapons, that's essential, too, that we're able to make sure that the commanders on the ground, whether they go full auto on these weapons, that they can turn them off and make sure that our soldiers, sailors, and airmen and Marines are safe. But we're in a new world, and that's why it's moving fast. And I think we've all got to coach ourselves up on this 5D chess game that we're entering in the AI race.
Mike, this is about policy, but I want to get your take on some of the policy regarding energy, because a bipartisan group of senators have resumed talks on federal permitting reforms to increase domestic energy projects and decrease regulations. What specifically do you want to see with regard to permitting and other policy changes as it relates to energy?
This is great news for the American people that Republicans and Democrats are finally back together talking about critical permitting reform. API has put out a plan that you can find at permittingreformnow.org, where you can learn all about the focus that we have on building out permitting reform. Here's the key. We expect that energy demand is going to go up by 50% in the next 10 years. Where is that energy going to come from? We think it should come from here in the United States. And particularly, we need more oil, more natural gas in this country if we're going to meet that demand. And what's going on in the Middle East is a perfect example of that. We want to be energy independent and energy secure, and that's what permitting reform on a bipartisan basis is all about.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are also some things that need to be codified that the president has put through executive order. But I think for the permitting, he's tried to do as much as possible to get things moving in terms of regulations in the way of progress. Mike, always a pleasure. Thank you. Mike Sommers joining us, and we'll be right back.